Hi, welcome to Actual Spinster. My name is Anna Marie. There's a link in my description to a GoFundMe for Ala and her family whilst they're stuck in Gaza, which I would really appreciate if you can check out. Today's video is going to be talking about Thomas Hardy, because Jen the librarian, who I'll link below, and I'll link all the information below. Sorry, my part was caught under a book. Jen the librarian is hosting a Thomas Hardy read-along to read a Thomas Hardy book in publication order for every month for the next 14 months, I think. And so that has inspired me to, just make a video and talk about the Thomas Hardy books I've read and the Thomas Hardy books I want to read. I mean, I kind of would like to read all of his books, but I also don't want to just do that now, in a year and a half or whatever. So I might participate in some parts of the readathon, or for some months, and then for other months I might not. Plus I have already read some of his work, so there are months where I don't think I'll want to reread them. I have talked about the books that I read from Thomas Hardy on this channel before. I think I've read 3 of his books so far. The first one I read was The Return of the Native. The second one I read, I believe, was Two on a Tower, and the third one I read was Far from the Madding Crowd. I could have read Two on a Tower and Far from the Madding Crowd in a different order, but I don't think I did. I loved Far from the Madding Crowd. It was definitely one of my favourite books at the time, and I just really thought it was beautiful and enjoyed talking about it. So I will link where I talked about it. I think it was an October wrap-up, because I think I read it for Victober maybe 4 or 5 years ago now. And I enjoyed Two on the Tower, although I think the ending was pretty bad. But also, it was, fine. And The Return of the Native, as my first one, I thought was really good. I listened to the audiobook read by Alan Rickman, which I would really recommend. It was really wonderful. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting story. And it definitely was, I think, a good place to start. But honestly, I think Far from the Madding Crowd would also be a good place to start, really, of the ones I've read. Then in terms of, so I'm pretty sure I do have a copy of Far from the Madding Crowd, but I couldn't find it, because the idea for this video was kind of more originally I'll just show you all the Thomas Hardy books I have, but then it looks like all of the Thomas Hardy books I have are only unread Hardy books. And because I kind of have been collecting them whenever I've seen a nice edition or something like that, I've just been collecting them and then not reading them, which is also why this project is a really nice read along idea. So I do really hope to participate for some, for sure. So I have 4 Thomas Hardy books here to show you, and I have shown these before, but I'm going to talk about them now because it's nice to make a dedicated Thomas Hardy reading video. So first of all, this is his first published novel. This is Desperate Remedies, and the read-along starts in June, and this would be where it would start. I obviously do want to read this. I think it's always interesting to read an author's first book, especially authors who have either produced quite a large amount of work or who become known for very specific forms, tropes, preoccupations, blah blah blah, because I think you can sometimes trace that in the first work, or sometimes you can be super surprised at where they began and where they end. Or surprised at how things develop through their lifetime of working. I'm thinking especially about Virginia Woolf, whose first works are very interesting to read in the context of absolute masterpiece, To the Lighthouse later on. I've heard this is very plotty, and I'm not sure if I will start with reading this, but I think I'll talk more in depth as I get to the rest of it. Sorry, I had to do a quick TENS Machine application. The next book I have, which is also the second book that he published, so this would be the July book, is Under the Greenwood Tree. I'm not telling you what any of these about, sorry. I didn't really do that on purpose. I just started doing it like that, and I think with Thomas Hardy I do kind of have a sort of basic fairly just intuitive list of books that I want to do to read as a primary pass through his work, and then there's the kind of secondary ones, which would be if I do want to complete reading his entire oeuvre, as they say. Is that how they say that? His entire body of work. But Under the Greenwood Tree, Desperate Remedies, those are both part of the first pass through. I might talk more in depth about the ones that I don't have that I am the most interested in though. The next book I have is The Mayor of Casterbridge, which I think is the 10th book that he published. I think this might be on my TBR for my year-long project of trying to read a book from every decade from the 1880s to the 1980s, maybe for the 1890s. I got this copy for 50p, always nice when that happens. And yeah, I have kind of been planning that this would be the next Thomas Hardy I read. I've barely read anything in May, and it's just been hard, and also, you know, like sort of amazing, but like also just a lot of energy. And I'm moving in like, I don't know, 5 days. I do have a little bit more time from when my lease starts and the current lease I have ends, but my flat, I'm not going to show you, but it's full of half full boxes. And yes, I obviously haven't packed up my books yet, but that is something I need to do. Anyway, just trying not to stress about that, but maybe that demonstrates the vibe I currently have, which is why, yeah, lots of my kind of plans haven't really gone to plan, or, you know, I don't feel like super bad about them, but it's just I definitely haven't done as much reading as I would have liked. I don't know where I was. Anyway, yes, I have been planning to get to this, so I think I might try and read this in June and then start from Under the Greenwood Tree in July. But I also, I don't know, I might not. Like, I'm a contrarian, as we can tell if you look at what I say I'm going to read and what I end up reading. Although I think I've definitely gotten better at like following like longer term TBR stuff, even if I'm not reading all of the things I say I want to, but I still want to read those things. So anyway, the final book I have currently that is by Thomas Hardy is Tess of the D'Urbervilles, which obviously is one of the books you just have to read, don't you? I think this is from 1895, but I could be wrong. And it's, yeah, his most famous work, I think, right? And yeah, I have this nice, I like the image on the cover. I know this is very miserable, of course, Thomas Hardy. I mean, this one, I might read it with the read along. Oh, it would be read like a year from now. So who knows what I'll be reading then. But I might read it at the same time. But I also feel like maybe because of the subject matter, I might just want to read it in my own time / at my own speed and not be kind of sociable with it, because I might struggle with the subject matter. In terms of like the other books that I'm like sort of primarily interested in, that's not really what I mean, but like as the kind of first pass of Thomas Hardy books to read, I would say that I would really like to read The Woodlanders and also Jude the Obscure. So with these four that I showed you, I think that The Woodlanders and Jude the Obscure are also kind of like high up on the interested in reading list. I am, though, like I said, interested in reading all of his work. It's just I don't really want to do that as like a month-long, as like an every month thing. I think I would just kind of burn out if I tried to do that, and I just can't control my reading to that degree, really. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. I'm going to read you like the list of the read along, and then I'm going to tell you if I want to read it, if I think I'll read it during the time frame, if I have already read it, that kind of thing. Okay, so obviously, like I said, June was Desperate Remedies. I am interested in reading Desperate Remedies, but not sure if I'll read it in June. Also, actually, before I keep going, there is like a YouTuber called Libby something who has like a video about like where to start with Thomas Hardy, but not just start, like where to go after you've read like some of the books, and I will leave that in the link below, because I've watched that video a bunch, because I couldn't really decide where I wanted to go next after having read the 3 Thomas Hardys that I have read, and I think it was partially through that video that I kind of settled on The Mayor of Casterbridge being the one that I check out next. But yeah, so then July we have Under the Greenwood Tree, which I think is the one that I would be most likely to like join in the read along with currently. Then in August, A Pair of Blue Eyes. In September, Far From the Madding Crowd, so I wouldn't join in with that because I've already read it. October is The Hand of Ethelberta. November is The Return of the Native, so I wouldn't join in with that because I've already read it. December is The Trumpet Major. January is a Laodicean, or Desean. I am interested in both A Pair of Blue Eyes and that actually quite a lot, but yeah, I think they're still like secondary level of interest. February is Two on a Tower, which I wouldn't join in. There's definitely no point in rereading that. Then March is The Mayor of Casterbridge, which I guess if I have read it, then I will not join in, but I suppose if I haven't read it by then, I will join in with that. Then in April, there's The Woodlanders, which I definitely would be interested in. I also feel like from what I've read about The Woodlanders, it's a good book to read in kind of like springtime. It feels like kind of an apt April book, so that could be really nice. Then in May there's Tess of the D'Urbervilles, which yeah, I might join in, I might not, who knows. June, The Well-Beloved, and July, Jude the Obscure. I'm not sure if July is a particularly Jude the Obscure month, but we'll see when we get to it. This is so far away that there's no point in like pretending that I definitely know what I'll be wanting to do by then. I hope this has been vaguely interesting. Definitely let me know if you're gonna participate in the read along, however much, like all the way or just a few of the books like me, or like yeah, dipping in and out. And if you've read any Hardy at all, like what your history is with him, just let me know. Yeah, I hope that made sense, and I hope that you're having a nice day when you're watching this, and I hope that you can find some peace and respite. And yes, I will talk to you when I next talk to you.